Hi, students, and welcome to your instructor appointment. Please make sure that you have your LASSI pretest results, which you turned into Canvas last week, readily available to you. I'm going to go over the 10 different categories that you were assessed on the LASSI and kind of talk about what those mean. Now, let's first discuss the purpose of the LASSI. Really, the entire Learn 11 course is centered around LASSI topics. So there are 10 different topics that are covered on this assessment, and we will be covering those 10 topics in our course over the next 11 weeks. So you guys not only are learning about yourself, but this is an opportunity for you to pick two topics that you feel that you could potentially improve in. And those two topics are going to be the topics that you will complete your directed learning activities on. Okay, so I will come back to the DLAs at the very end of this presentation. So let's first look at attitude. The LASSI assessed you on attitude and interest in college and academic success, and it's asking you what your approach to college and academics is and how it helps you to get your work done. If you got a low score here, it might mean that you feel college isn't important or relevant. And so you may have to develop a better understanding of how what you do in college and how you perform in college is going to relate to your future life goals. I absolutely believe that the things that you learn in college carry on with you beyond academics into your work, into your career, into your daily life. You're going to learn a lot in the college setting. The next topic we'll talk about is motivation. And this is diligence, self discipline, and the willingness to put in the effort in order to complete your academic requirements. Are you motivated to do your schoolwork? Or are you someone who says, when work is difficult, I give up or I study the easy parts? This was certainly me as a student when it came to subjects that I didn't like, such as math. I've told you guys before, I'm an English major. And I didn't love math, right? So when it came to taking a math test or doing my math homework, I would just do the things that I knew were easier for me. So if you're like that and you scored low here, um, you may need to accept more responsibility for those academic outcomes. Learn how to set and use goals to accomplish your specific tasks. And so we talk about goals and motivation and attitude in one of the modules from this unit. Next is time management. This is a really, really big one, especially for college students. This is the application of time management principles to academic situations. But I truly do believe that applying time management to college is going to help you in your everyday life. You might be someone who says, I only study when there's the pressure of a test. This was me. I'm a self proclaimed ultimate procrastinator. And I would only study for tests really the night before. And so I would not use my time wisely. I would not prepare for my tests if I had them. Um, and there's such better ways to do it, way better ways to manage your time so that you're getting the most out of your study time. If you scored low here, you may need to work on your scheduling and monitoring techniques, making sure that you're completing things on time, avoiding procrastination, because we want you to include non academic activities in your schedule. You don't want to become burnt out. You may have experienced this in your life at some point where, maybe with work, all you did is work and you get burnt out. And so you need a balance. You need to prioritize the things that are important to you and manage your time around school because that should be a high priority for you right now. Next is anxiety. And I just like to put a disclaimer on this that, this is not general anxiety, this is academic anxiety. So it's the degree to which you worry about school and your academic performance. If you scored low here, it actually means that you have high levels of anxiety associated with school. Maybe you have test anxiety, things like that. And if you have academic anxiety, you um, probably realize that it's taking away from your ability to complete academic tasks. And so if you scored low here, meaning you have high anxiety levels, you may need to learn how to cope with that anxiety, reduce your worry, making sure that you're focusing on the task at hand. And especially if you struggle with something like test anxiety, right? Learning how to manage that so that you don't sit down for a test and just completely blank. This is way more common with students. A lot of people don't really talk about it, but it is something that is very, very prevalent. Next is concentration. And so this is the ability to direct and maintain attention on academic tasks. Think about what you're doing right now. Look at what you're doing right now. Do you have your phone out? Are you scrolling on your phone? Are you, doing other things, thinking about other things while you're listening to this lecture? Can be especially challenging when you are an online student. And you're kind of listening to your lectures at your own leisure. It can also be challenging if you're taking classes in person, which I know many of you are, and you get distracted maybe by your device or things that are going on around you. So, if you scored low here, you may need to learn how to monitor your level of concentration, and learn how to redirect your attention to eliminate those interfering thoughts and feelings so that you can become a more effective and efficient learner. Next is information processing. And this is all about building bridges between what you already know and what you're trying to learn and remember. Students who scored high here are able to translate what they study into their own words. You have strong information processing if you can do that. But if you scored low here, you may struggle to make information meaningful. What does that mean to make information meaningful? You need to connect it to things that you know. Maybe you're trying to remember a concept from chemistry or anatomy or a class like that. You could come up with a story to help you remember. Come up with a silly story. That's a learning strategy. Come up with a silly story that uses the names of people that you know, your family members, your friends, your pets, whatever it is. That makes the information meaningful to you. You are more likely to remember it that way. And then when information is meaningful, it actually stores better in your memory. And we'll talk about that when we get to our memory module. And then you can recall that information in the future. Next is selecting main ideas. This is being able to identify important information versus just like the little details, the supporting details that we need to know but aren't as important. And so if you scored low here, you probably get lost in the details. And you have to develop your skill at separating out critical information to focus your attention on. This can be a real struggle. And I always tell students, one strategy that you can use is look at the first sentence of a paragraph and the last sentence of a paragraph. Typically, one of those sentences is going to kind of sum up your main idea of that paragraph. Or even if you're looking at an entire article or chapter, read the first paragraph and the last paragraph, right? That's kind of where you're going to get your main idea. That's how we write in the English language. And so you're going to see that in your textbooks. If you scored low here, reading a textbook is going to be very overwhelming for you because you focus on every single detail. This was me as a student. I would take my textbook and I would take my highlighter and I would end up highlighting the entire chapter. And that is not helpful because, what are you supposed to focus on, right? The point of highlighting is highlighting that important information. And so this is really something that kind of just takes practice. And there are some really great learning strategies that we'll cover this semester to help you with that. Next is self-testing. This is reviewing and comprehension monitoring to determine your level of understanding of the information that you're trying to learn. So, how do you test yourself when you're studying? If you scored high, maybe you're someone who stops periodically while you're reading and you go over or review what was said. If you scored low, you may not understand the importance of self testing. And you just need to learn those techniques to review information, monitor your level of understanding, and then apply it to what you're learning. Especially if you're a procrastinator, you're probably not doing a lot of self testing. You are just trying to get the reading done to say that you did it and kind of cram all the information um, but as you are reading, you really should be going over what was said. And something that I've had students do in the past, especially when, in my English classes that I've taught, I will have students summarize a paragraph in one sentence. My high school students especially hated when I would make them summarize something in exactly 25 words. And so they would have to revise their sentence until they had exactly 25 words. And I would make them count every single word. But what that was helping them do was going over and over and over again that summary of that section or that paragraph. So that's something that you guys can do definitely to help with your comprehension monitoring. Next is test strategies. And so this is test prep and test taking strategies. There are two types of tests that you are going to encounter in college, objective tests and subjective tests. The objective tests are the ones that are true, false, multiple choice. There's one right answer. The subjective tests are the ones that are like the essay tests or maybe the short answer tests. And it's up to the discretion of the instructor on how they're going to grade you. Maybe they use a rubric, right? But they get to decide your score. There's not necessarily a right answer. And so if you scored low here, you may need to learn those techniques on how to prep for both objective and subjective tests. And you may need to learn how to take them. Right? They're different kinds of tests. They require different kinds of strategies. Because we want you to be able to effectively demonstrate your knowledge of the subject matter. That's the point of the test, to prove that you have learned what you need to learn, right? And so when you have those strategies, that can also, from what I've seen, ultimately decrease some of that academic anxiety. Okay, our last category here is using academic resources. I'll be honest with you, this is my lowest scoring on the LASSI. I'm in the first percentile. So that means that 99% of people score higher than me on this category. And this is the willingness to use academic resources. You have to go out of your way. You have to make the choice to use resources, the Writing Center, tutoring centers, any kind of learning or academic support when you are encountering problems with your coursework. Ask yourself, are you willing to ask your instructors for help? The reason that I score so low here is because my answer to that question when I was a student was no. I didn't want to be seen as dumb or, something like that in front of my college professors, especially in front of my college professors. But I can tell you now that I've been an instructor for a long time, that most instructors want their students to ask for help because we know that this is the first time that you guys are seeing this material, and that's what we're here for. We are here to help you guys navigate this material for the first time and understand it. So don't be afraid, especially with me, okay? Don't be afraid to reach out to me if you have any questions about what you're learning or if you need help with something. If you scored low here, you may need help identifying resources. And I'm going to show you guys where I have some resources on Canvas. So I'm going to move us over to our Canvas page here, and you'll see we've got, I'm in the student view, so this should be, what you guys are seeing. And if you go to modules and you scroll all the way down past these modules, okay, I have some valuable resources here for you. So we've got Office 365 and Microsoft Office. Maybe you didn't know that you had access to that, or maybe you didn't know you got it for free, or maybe you did and you had no idea how to download it. Well, there you go. Student success, student technology help desk. These people are the best, okay? Please reach out to the tech people. They will help you. Study skills, the MDSC, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. Tutoring, right? There are some kind of starter resources for you. We have tons of resources available at LBCC. And if you ever need any help getting connected to those, I am more than happy to help you. Okay, so let's talk about now what we're going to do next. What does this mean? We have our information about our LASSI scores. What are we going to do with these scores? Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, part of what you're doing with your LASSI scores is your DLAs, or your directed learning activities. Okay, so if we're on our Canvas page here and we go over to DLA instructions, I'm going to click on that. Okay, you're going to see this page. This page is always accessible to you. Okay, if you ever have any questions about what you're supposed to do, all the answers are on this page. Okay, so first, what is a DLA? If you've never done it before, these are additional required assignments. Okay, and so you are going to be choosing 2 topics from your LASSI where you feel you have room to grow. Okay, though after completing your DLA assignments on those 2 topics that you pick, you should be in a better position to succeed as a college student. Okay, now this is your instructor appointment. Watching this video is considered your instructor appointment. Okay, you are going to put into the Canvas assignment your 2 topics so that I can approve them for you. Okay, and then you'll have access to those, throughout the course. So when are your DLAs due? Like I said, you have 2 of them. Okay. So after this instructor appointment, you've picked your topics. You have to first complete the LASSI modules for those 2 topics. And then you need to do a follow-up session on Zoom online with an LBCC Multidisciplinary Success Center tutor. Okay, that's the MDSC. I have 2 due dates for you, October 25th and November 8th. I know that probably seems far off now, but it's going to sneak up on us. So as soon as you've picked your topics, as soon as you've watched this video, that's when you should pick your topics. You're going to enter it into Canvas and you should get started on these modules. Okay, so you're going to have to access your LASSI modules website, and then you're going to go through your topics. Okay, and you're going to complete your modules on those. So let me show you how to do that. First, let's click on where it says go to the LASSI modules website. I'm going to click on that link right there. Okay, you need to make sure that you have clicked on step 2, work on modules. Now, how in the world are you going to log in? Well, let me show you guys my LASSI. Okay, here's my LASSI that I took. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Okay, And here are your modules instructions. Here is your email. Okay, that's the email that you entered when you took your pretest, and then the modules key. You're going to enter that 4-digit key over here. Okay, so you will see, and then you'll click login. Okay, so once you are logged in, you can just scroll down and you will be able to see your scores and our 10 different topics here. Okay, now, do you need to pick your 2 lowest scores? No. Can you pick your 2 lowest scores? Yes. My recommendation to you is to pick anything that is at the 70th percentile or lower. That just means that you have room for improvement. There's no pass or fail here, right? This is just assessing where you are right now. So you guys can see, I only have one category that's over the 70th percentile. Okay, the rest of my scores, most of my scores are in the red. Okay, so this is not a pass fail kind of situation. So let's say that I am going to pick anxiety for one of my topics. You'll press begin. Okay. And then you are going to need to go through all of these, including this capstone quiz at the end. Okay, that would be your first module. Okay, so you would complete that, and then you would complete your second one. Let's just say I'm going to do attitude. Okay, same thing. You're going to complete all of this of the module. Okay. Now you've done your 2 modules. Okay, going back to Canvas here. What do you do next? You need to participate in a follow-up session. These are 15-minute Zooms, okay? You're going to sign up on Track Cloud, and it goes through the instructions here on how to sign up, okay? And you can actually do both of your modules at the same time during the same appointment, or you can do them separately and you can do 2 follow-up appointments. Obviously, my recommendation to you would be do them at the same time. That's a lot easier. Okay. And then the nice thing is that you don't even have to turn anything in. Once you've done your follow-up session with the tutor, they enter it into a Google sheet that I have access to and say the date that you completed it. And then I give you points. Okay, so you are not submitting anything into Canvas for your DLAs. Once you've done your modules and met with your tutor, you get your points. Okay, that's the only way that you are going to get points on this assignment, is if you complete the follow-up appointment with the tutor. Okay, so again, I will remind you the 2 dates, then these need to be done. The first one done by October 25th, the second one done by November 8th. Okay, please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions about your DLAs. And don't forget that I hold office hours every Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. I'm happy to answer your questions there. Okay, good luck on your DLAs.